30 minutes before her wedding, Tessa watched her fiancé walk out of Riverside Church, not because she stopped loving him, but because she couldn't walk toward him. Left alone in her wheelchair, under white roses, meant for celebration, she learned the cruelest truth. Some people's love has conditions. But when a stranger with kind eyes and a little girl appeared in her darkest moment, everything changed. This is the story of how being abandoned led her to the man who would never leave. Before we begin, please subscribe and hit that notification bell because this story will restore your faith in real love. And drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from, so we can see how far Tessa's story travels across the world. I can't marry you, Tessa. I'm sorry. Brandon stood in the doorway of the bridal suite still wearing his tuxedo, looking everywhere except at her face. Tessa gripped the wheels of her chair, her wedding dress pooling around her like spilled milk. What did you just say? I can't do this. His voice cracked. I tried. God knows I tried, but I can't. The church bells rang outside. 30 minutes until the ceremony. 200 guests waiting in the pews. Her mother adjusting corsages in the hallway. The string quartet tuning their instruments. Brandon, look at me. He finally met her eyes, and what she saw there was worse than anger. It was pity. Every time I look at you, he whispered, all I see is everything we lost. The hiking trips, dancing at our wedding, having kids without worrying about how you'd manage. I've been lying to myself for months, Tessa. I'm not strong enough for this. Strong enough for what? For me. Her voice rose. You proposed 2 years ago. You said nothing would change after the accident. You stood in that hospital room and promised. I know what I promised. He backed toward the door. But I can't keep that promise. And staying would be worse than leaving. For both of us. So you waited until 30 minutes before our wedding to figure this out. I kept thinking I'd wake up and feel different, that I'd adjust. He shook his head. I'm not going to adjust, Tessa. This is who I am. I'm sorry. The apology was worse than the abandonment. Get out. Tessa. I said, get out. She hurled her bouquet at him. White roses exploded against the doorframe petals, scattering across the floor like snow. Get out, and don't you ever come back. Brandon left, just walked away like their 4 years together meant nothing. Tessa sat frozen in her dress, hearing muffled voices outside. Confusion, shock, someone crying. Probably her mother. Her phone buzzed. Mom. Baby, I'm coming in. Tessa, don't. Please, I need to be alone. She couldn't face anyone, couldn't face the questions, or the pity, or the well-meaning people telling her she was better off without him. She wheeled herself to the side exit, the one leading to the church garden, where they'd planned to take photos. The garden was perfect. White roses climbing wooden trellises. Sunlight filtering through oak trees. A stone bench where she and Brandon had sat 6 months ago, planning their future. That future was gone now. Tessa rolled to the bench and let herself break. Not quiet tears. Raw, gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Her wedding dress dragged in the grass-white silk staining green. She didn't care. Let it all be ruined. Excuse me. Tessa's head snapped up. A man stood at the garden entrance, tall and lean with worried brown eyes. He held the hand of a small girl in a yellow sundress who stared at Tessa with open curiosity. I'm sorry. The man looked genuinely distressed. We were cutting through to the parking lot. I didn't mean to. He saw her dress the wheelchair, her tear-stained face. Are you okay? Do I look okay? Tessa wiped her face roughly. Sorry, that was rude. I'm having the worst day of my life, but I'm fine. The little girl tugged his hand. Daddy, why is the bride crying? I don't know, baby. He squeezed her hand gently, then looked back at Tessa. Is there someone I can call your family? They're inside the church, probably trying to explain to 200 people why there's no wedding. The words tasted bitter. So, no. There's no one. Understanding crossed his face. He left you today. About 10 minutes ago. Tessa laughed sharp and painful. Turns out wheelchairs are a deal breaker. The little girl walked closer, tilting her head. Why are you in a wheelchair? Autumn, that's not polite. It's fine. Tessa looked at the girl's innocent face. Kids never pretended. I was in a car accident 8 months ago. My legs don't work anymore. Oh. Autumn absorbed this seriously. That's sad. But you're still really pretty. Like a princess. Despite everything, Tessa felt her mouth twitch. Thank you, sweetheart. The man pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and offered it to her. I'm Malcolm. This is my daughter Autumn. And I think maybe we showed up at exactly the right time. Or the worst time. Tessa took the handkerchief, dabbing at her face. I'm Tessa, and I'm supposed to be getting married right now. Malcolm sat on the bench, leaving respectful space between them. For what it's worth, any man who walks away on his wedding day doesn't deserve you, wheelchair or not. Easy to say when you're not the one dealing with it. You're right. I can't know exactly what you're going through. His voice was quiet. But I know what it's like to be left by someone who promised forever. Tessa looked at him, really looked. There was old pain in his eyes, the kind that never fully healed. My wife left 3 years ago, Malcolm continued. 2 months after Autumn was diagnosed with epilepsy. She said she couldn't handle the medical bills, the stress, the fear of Autumn having seizures in public. He smiled sadly. She packed a bag one night and just left. Haven't heard from her since. Autumn climbed onto the bench between them. Mommy didn't like when I got sick. But Daddy stayed. Daddy always stays. Something cracked open in Tessa's chest. This man understood abandonment. Understood being left with the hard parts while someone else chose the easy way out. I'm sorry, Tessa said softly. That's awful. It was. But we survived, and eventually you realized the person who left wasn't strong enough for your story. He met her eyes. They weren't meant to be in it. What if I'm the problem? The question burst out. What if Brandon was right? What if I'm just too much trouble, too much work? Stop. Malcolm's voice was firm. You're not too much. You're exactly enough for the right person. Brandon was just too small. They sat there while the sun moved lower and car doors closed behind them. The church emptied. Her mother texted 3 more times. Tessa couldn't face her yet. Couldn't face reality. Do you have somewhere to go tonight? Malcolm asked eventually. My apartment, where I'll face my mother's tears and drink an entire bottle of wine. Malcolm pulled out his phone. Give me your number. What? Your number. I'm checking on you tomorrow. You don't have to do that. Someone checked on me when my wife left. Saved my life. He held out his phone. Let me pay it forward. Something in his eyes made Tessa recite her number. Malcolm typed it in and sent a text immediately. This is Malcolm. You're not alone. Autumn jumped off the bench. Daddy, can Tessa come to my art show next week? Miss Jennifer said we could bring guests. Autumn, I don't think. Malcolm started. When is it? Tessa interrupted, surprising herself. Tuesday at 4 o'clock. At Riverside Elementary. Autumn beamed. I painted a rainbow. It's huge. I'd love to see it. Malcolm looked at her with something like hope. You don't have to. I want to. Tessa straightened in her chair. Someone just told me my story isn't over. Might as well start the next chapter. That night, alone in her apartment with her wedding dress crumpled on the floor, Tessa's phone buzzed. Malcolm. How are you holding up? Tessa stared at the message, then typed, still breathing. That counts for something. Malcolm. That counts for everything. Over the next 3 days, Malcolm's texts became the only thing that felt real. Not constant, just enough to remind her someone cared. They talked about small things, coffee preferences, favorite books, whether pineapple belonged on pizza. He told her about Autumn's butterfly obsession. Tessa told him about her graphic design work, how she'd been working from home since the accident. Malcolm: "You should go back to the office. Don't let fear make your world smaller." The words hit hard. That's exactly what she'd been doing, shrinking, hiding, staying safe. On Tuesday, Tessa showed up at Riverside Elementary at 3:45, her heart hammering. She hadn't been around this many people since the accident, but she'd promised Autumn. Malcolm met her at the entrance. "You came." "I said I would." Autumn told her entire class a princess was coming. He held the door. "Fair warning, you might get swarmed." He wasn't kidding. Autumn spotted them and came running. "Tessa, you're here." She grabbed Tessa's hand. "Come see my rainbow." As Autumn pulled her through the gymnasium, Tessa noticed the stares. Curious, pitying, surprised. But Autumn didn't care. She just kept talking about her painting, about her friend Jake's butterfly project, about how Miss Jennifer said art was seeing the world differently. "Different is good," Autumn declared. "Right, Tessa?" "Right, sweetie. Different is very good." Malcolm stayed close, but not hovering. He introduced Tessa to other parents as a friend, without explanation. No one asked about the wheelchair. For the first time in months, Tessa felt almost normal. After they'd seen every piece of art twice, Malcolm suggested ice cream. They went to a small shop near the school. Autumn devoured chocolate while chattering about her field trip to the butterfly pavilion. "She's amazing," Tessa said quietly. "You've done an incredible job." Malcolm watched his daughter with soft eyes. "She's the reason I survived. After Jennifer left, there were days I didn't want to get out of bed, but Autumn needed me." He looked at Tessa. "Kids teach you how to be strong when you don't think you can be." "Did you ever hear from your wife again?" "Once. About a year ago. Divorce papers and a check for back child support." His voice was matter-of-fact. No apology. No request to see Autumn. Just legal documents. "I'm sorry, I'm not anymore." "Not." He took a sip of coffee. "She made her choice. We made ours. What about you? Heard from Brandon." He texted asking about wedding gifts. Tessa's jaw tightened. "That's it. 4 years together, and I get a text about kitchen appliances. His loss. How can you say that? You barely know me. I know you showed up today even though you were scared. I know you made my daughter smile. I know you're still fighting." He met her eyes. "That tells me everything." Something shifted in Tessa's chest. Not love. Not yet. But the beginning of something. The friendship developed slowly over the next 2 months. They texted daily, met for coffee twice a week. Tessa went to Autumn's soccer games and school plays. Malcolm never treated her wheelchair as a limitation. When restaurants weren't accessible, he suggested somewhere else without making it a big deal. He made accommodation feel normal. But Tessa's mother didn't see it that way. "Sweetheart, are you sure about this Malcolm person?" Her mother cornered her one Sunday at brunch. "You just got out of a relationship. You're vulnerable." "I'm fine, Mom." "He's a single father with a sick child. Do you really want to take that on? You have enough to deal with." Tessa's fork clattered against her plate. "Autumn isn't a burden, and neither am I." "I didn't say that." "You implied it, just like Brandon did." Tessa grabbed her purse. "I'm leaving." "Tessa, wait." But she was already rolling toward the exit, anger burning in her chest. Her own mother thought she was too broken to handle a relationship, that she should be grateful anyone paid attention to her at all. Her phone buzzed in the parking lot. "Malcolm, movie night at our place. Autumn wants to show you her butterfly collection." "Tessa, I'll be there in 20 minutes." When she arrived, Autumn was waiting on the front steps, a shoebox clutched in her hands. Tessa. Look what I found. She opened the box to reveal a dozen carefully pressed butterflies between sheets of wax paper. Miss Jennifer helped me preserve them. They're beautiful honey. Inside, Malcolm had ordered pizza. They ate on the living room floor while Autumn narrated the life story of each butterfly in excruciating detail. Monarchs, swallowtails, painted ladies. Each one had a name and elaborate backstory. And this one is Princess Sparkle. Autumn held up a blue butterfly. She flew all the way from Mexico to find her family. That's a long journey, Tessa said. Yeah, but she made it. Because she was brave. Autumn looked at Tessa seriously. Like you. After Autumn went to bed, Malcolm brought coffee and sat beside Tessa on the couch. You okay? You seemed upset when you got here. My mother thinks I'm making a mistake, spending time with you. Tessa's voice was tight. She thinks I'm too vulnerable, that you're taking advantage. Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. Is that what you think? No. Tessa looked at him. But sometimes I wonder if everyone else sees something I don't. Maybe I am rushing into this. Maybe I'm not thinking clearly. Then we slow down. Malcolm's voice was steady. We stay friends. We take our time. There's no pressure here, Tessa. I'm not going anywhere. Why? The question burst out. Why are you so patient? Why aren't you running like everyone else? You want the truth? Please. Malcolm set down his coffee and turned to face her fully. Because when I look at you, I don't see someone who needs saving. I see someone who's already saving herself. I see strength and courage, and someone who shows up even when it's hard. He paused. And because Autumn asks about you every single day, because you make her laugh, because you treat her like she matters. She does matter. I know. And you see that naturally. You don't see her epilepsy first. You see her. His eyes were intense. The same way I don't see your wheelchair first. I see Tessa, just Tessa. Malcolm. Her phone rang. Brandon's name flashed on the screen. Tessa stared at it, her heart pounding. Malcolm saw the name and stood up. I'll give you privacy. No, stay. Tessa answered. Hello. Tessa, hi. Brandon's voice sounded strange, uncertain. How are you? How am I? You walked out on our wedding 3 months ago, and you're asking how I am. I know I have no right to call. But I've been thinking, don't. Just hear me out. I made a mistake. A huge mistake. I panicked, and I handled everything wrong. You think? Tessa's voice rose. You abandoned me 30 minutes before our wedding, Brandon. You looked at me like I was broken and walked away. I was scared. I didn't know how to handle everything. But I've had time to think, and I realize now. Realize what? That you made a mistake, that you want me back. Tessa laughed bitterly. You don't get to do this. You don't get to come back when it's convenient. Tessa, please. Can we at least talk? Get coffee. I just want to explain. There's nothing to explain. You showed me exactly who you are. Tessa looked at Malcolm, who was watching her with quiet support. And I've moved on. Moved on? It's only been 3 months. You moved on in 10 minutes. Don't tell me about timing. Her voice was steel. Goodbye, Brandon. Don't call again. She hung up before he could respond. Her hands were shaking. Malcolm sat back down beside her, not touching, just present. You okay? He asked quietly. I don't know. Tessa's voice cracked. Part of me wanted to say yes, to give him another chance. Isn't that pathetic? It's human. He was your future for 4 years. You don't just turn that off. But he left me, Malcolm. He looked at my wheelchair and decided I wasn't worth the trouble. I know. And now he wants back in. Because he's lonely. He realized how hard dating is. He thinks I'll be grateful. Someone wants me. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I'm not going back to him. I'm not. But why does part of me want to? Malcolm was quiet, choosing his words carefully. Because you loved him. Because grief isn't linear. Because healing takes time. He met her eyes. But Tessa, you deserve someone who doesn't need 3 months to realize you're worth staying for. You deserve someone who sees your value from day one. Someone like you. The question hung between them. Malcolm took a breath. I'm not trying to replace him. I'm not trying to be your savior or your next relationship. But yeah, someone like me. Someone who shows up. Someone who stays. Tessa wiped her eyes. I'm scared. Of what? Of trusting again. Of believing someone when they say they won't leave. She looked at him. What if you change your mind? What if you wake up one day and realize, I'm too much work, too much trouble? Tessa. Malcolm's voice was firm but gentle. Look at me. She did. I'm not Brandon. I don't make promises I can't keep. And I don't walk away when things get hard. He held her gaze. My wife left me with a sick child and a mountain of medical bills. I didn't quit. I didn't run. I stayed and figured it out. That's who I am. But what if Autumn has a seizure and I can't help? What if something happens and I'm in this chair and I'm useless? Stop. Malcolm's voice cut through her spiral. You're not useless. You've never been useless. Your wheelchair doesn't define what you can or can't do. It's just how you move through the world. Brandon didn't see it that way. I'm not Brandon. He said it again, firmer this time. I'm never going to be Brandon. Tessa wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that this man who'd shown up in her worst moment wouldn't eventually walk away like everyone else. But trust was terrifying. I need time, she whispered. I need to figure out who I am without Brandon, without the wedding, without all the plans we made. Then take time. I'm not going anywhere. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. Malcolm's voice was steady as bedrock. Whether this becomes something more or stays exactly what it is, I'm your friend Tessa. That's not conditional. That's forever. And somehow, impossibly, she believed him. But at 2 a.m, Tessa's phone shattered the silence. Malcolm's name flashed on the screen. Her heart lurched. He never called this late. Hello? Tessa. His voice was shaking. I need help. It's Autumn. She's having a seizure and it won't stop. I don't know what to do. I already called 911, but I'm scared and I don't. What's your address? Tessa was already getting dressed, phone wedged between her shoulder and ear. You don't have to. Malcolm. Address. Now. He gave it. She was in her van 30 seconds later. The drive took 12 minutes. The longest 12 minutes of her life. She kept imagining Autumn seizing Malcolm, panicking, everything falling apart. When she pulled up, an ambulance was already there, lights flashing red and blue against the quiet suburban street. Tessa rolled up the ramp as fast as she could, her arms burning. Malcolm was on the front steps, his head in his hands. He looked up when he heard her wheels. Tessa. His voice broke. You came. Of course I came. She rolled right up to him. Where's Autumn? Inside with the paramedics. They got the seizure to stop, but they want to take her to the hospital for observation. He looked wrecked, terrified. I called you because I didn't know who else to call, and I just needed someone. I'm here. Tessa grabbed his hand. I'm right here. Let's go inside. They followed the ambulance to the hospital. Malcolm rode with Autumn, while Tessa followed in her van. At the ER, they waited in uncomfortable plastic chairs, while doctors ran tests. 3 hours later, a doctor emerged. She's stable. The seizure was longer than usual, but we've adjusted her medication. She'll need to stay overnight for observation. Can I see her? Malcolm asked. Of course. She's asking for you. Malcolm stood, then looked at Tessa. Come with me. You sure? Please. Autumn was in a hospital bed, looking small and tired, but alert. When she saw Tessa, her face lit up. Tessa? You came to see me. Of course I did, honey. Tessa rolled to the bedside. How are you feeling? Sleepy. The seizure made me really tired. Autumn reached for Tessa's hand. But I'm okay. Daddy always knows what to do. Tessa looked at Malcolm, who was trying not to cry. Yeah, your daddy's pretty amazing. They stayed until Autumn fell asleep, her hand still clutching Tessa's. Only then did Malcolm let himself fall apart. In the hallway, he leaned against the wall and slid down until he was sitting on the floor. I hate this. I hate not being able to protect her. I hate watching her seize and not being able to stop it. Tessa lowered herself from her chair to sit beside him on the floor. I know. What if next time is worse? What if I can't get to her in time? What if... Malcolm. She grabbed his hand. You can't control this. You can only show up. And you do. Every single time. I'm so tired, Tessa. His voice was raw. I'm so tired of being scared all the time. Then let me be scared with you. The words came out before she could stop them. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Malcolm looked at her, really looked at her. You mean that? I'm here, aren't I, at 3 a.m, in a hospital, because you called. Tessa squeezed his hand. I'm not going anywhere, Malcolm. That's what you keep telling me. Now I'm telling you. I'm staying. Something broke open in his expression. Relief, gratitude, something deeper that neither of them was ready to name yet. They sat on that hospital floor until dawn, hands linked, two broken people learning how to be whole together. And when the sun rose through the hospital windows, Tessa realized something. She wasn't scared anymore. She was home. Autumn came home from the hospital 2 days later with new medication and strict instructions to avoid stress. Malcolm took the week off work, hovering over her like a nervous shadow. Tessa came by every afternoon, bringing coloring books and stories, sitting with Autumn, while Malcolm tried to catch up on sleep he hadn't gotten in days. You don't have to keep coming, Malcolm said on the third day, though his eyes said the opposite. You have work, your own life. I work from home, remember? I can design graphics anywhere. Tessa settled into the chair beside Autumn's bed. Besides, someone needs to make sure you actually eat something other than cold pizza. I ate a granola bar this morning. That doesn't count. She pulled containers from her bag. My mother made enough soup to feed an army. Don't argue, just eat. Malcolm took the container, his hands shaking slightly from exhaustion. Your mother made this. I thought she didn't approve of me. She doesn't approve of anything I do lately. Tessa's voice was matter-of-fact. But she's still my mother. She worries. She shows love through food. It's complicated. Family usually is. Autumn stirred in her sleep, and both of them froze until she settled again. Malcolm sat on the edge of the bed, watching his daughter breathe like he was afraid she'd stop if he looked away. You need to sleep, Tessa said quietly. Real sleep. Not this 20-minute nap thing you've been doing. I can't. What if she has another seizure? Then I'll wake you up. I'll be right here. Malcolm looked at her with exhausted gratitude. You'd do that. Malcolm, I stayed on a hospital floor with you until sunrise. You think I'm leaving now? She wheeled herself closer. Go upstairs, sleep for 4 hours. I've got her. You don't know what to do if she seizes. So teach me, right now. Show me exactly what to do, and then go sleep. For the next 20 minutes, Malcolm walked her through every step. How to time the seizure. When to call 911. How to keep Autumn safe without restraining her. Where the emergency medication was kept. What signs meant the seizure was ending versus getting worse? And most importantly, Malcolm's voice was tight. Don't panic. She can feel your fear even when she's seizing. Stay calm. Talk to her. Let her know you're there. I can do that. Malcolm hesitated at the doorway. Tessa, if something happens, I'll handle it. I promise. Now go sleep before you collapse. He finally went upstairs. Tessa heard his bedroom door close, then silence. She sat with Autumn watching the little girl sleep, thinking about how much had changed in 3 months. She'd gone from a bride abandoned at the altar to a woman sitting vigil over someone else's child, and somehow it felt right. More right than her wedding day ever had. Her phone buzzed. A text from Brandon. We need to talk. Please. She deleted it without responding. Another text came through immediately. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But I made a mistake, Tessa. The biggest mistake of my life. Can we please just meet for coffee? Tessa stared at the message, her chest tight. 3 months ago, she would have given anything to hear those words. Would have forgiven him instantly, grateful someone wanted her back. Now they just made her tired. She blocked his number. Autumn woke up an hour later, groggy and disoriented. Where's Daddy? He's sleeping, honey. He was really tired. Tessa rolled closer. But I'm here. How do you feel? My head hurts a little. Autumn rubbed her eyes. Did I have a seizure? You did. A few days ago. Do you remember? Not really. I never remember them. Autumn's voice was small. Daddy says it's like my brain takes a little vacation without telling the rest of me. That's a good way to explain it. Are you scared of my seizures? The question was direct, honest. Most people are. That's why Mommy left. Tessa's heart broke. Oh, sweetheart, your seizures aren't scary. They're just part of who you are, like how I use a wheelchair. It doesn't make you less amazing. Really? Really? Tessa took Autumn's small hand. And I'm not going anywhere. Your daddy asked me the same thing, and I'll tell you what I told him. I'm staying. Autumn studied her face seriously. You promise? I promise. Pinky promise. Autumn held out her little finger. Tessa linked her pinky with Autumn's. Pinky promise. Autumn smiled, then looked past Tessa toward the doorway. Daddy, did you hear Tessa? Pinky promised she's staying? Malcolm stood in the doorway, his hair rumpled from sleep, his eyes red, but clearer than they'd been in days. I heard baby. His voice was thick with emotion. That's pretty serious. Pinky promises are binding. I know, Tessa said, meeting his eyes. That's why I made it. Over the next 2 weeks, Tessa became a fixture in their small house. She worked on her laptop at the kitchen table, while Autumn did homework. She stayed for dinner most nights, helping Malcolm cook, or ordering takeout when they were too tired. She learned Autumn's medication schedule, her favorite bedtime stories, which stuffed animals had to be arranged in exactly the right order for sleep. And slowly, carefully, something shifted between her and Malcolm. It started with small things. His hand brushing hers when passing plates at dinner. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. How he always made sure her coffee was exactly right without asking. How she knew his tired face from his scared face, from his everything's okay face. One evening after Autumn was asleep, they sat on the back porch, drinking wine and watching fireflies. I got a call from Jennifer today, Malcolm said suddenly. Tessa went still. Your ex-wife? Yeah. First time in over a year. He swirled his wine. She wants to see Autumn. What did you say? I said I'd think about it. Malcolm's jaw was tight. Part of me wants to tell her to go to hell. She walked out on her daughter when Autumn needed her most. She doesn't get to just show up now and play mother. But Autumn asks about her sometimes. Wonders why Mommy doesn't call. Wonders if she did something wrong. His voice cracked. I've tried so hard to protect her from that pain, but maybe I'm making it worse. Maybe she needs to see her mother to understand it's not her fault. Tessa was quiet, choosing her words carefully. What does your gut tell you? My gut says Jennifer will disappoint her again. That she'll show up for a day or a week and then disappear when things get hard. Malcolm set down his wine glass. But maybe that's what Autumn needs to see. That her mother's limitations aren't about her. They're about Jennifer. When does she want to visit? Next weekend. Says she's in town for work and has Saturday free. He laughed bitterly. Saturday, 4 hours. That's what she's offering. Do you want me to be here? Tessa asked. Or would that make it worse? Malcolm looked at her. Would you be here, I mean? I don't know if I can do this alone. Of course I'll be here. Saturday arrived too quickly. Malcolm was tense all morning, cleaning the already clean house, checking his phone every 30 seconds. Autumn was nervous too, changing her outfit 3 times, asking if her hair looked pretty enough. You look beautiful, honey, Tessa assured her. Your mom is going to be so happy to see you. What if she doesn't like me anymore? Malcolm knelt down, taking Autumn's hands. Baby, your mother loves you. She's just not very good at showing it. But that's about her, not you. Nothing you do or say will change how lovable you are. Understand? Autumn nodded, but her eyes were still worried. The doorbell rang at exactly 11 o'clock. Jennifer was beautiful. Tall, elegant, perfectly styled in a way that made Tessa suddenly aware of her jeans and simple t-shirt. She looked at Autumn with a bright smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Autumn, look how big you've gotten. Jennifer bent down for a hug. Autumn went to her, hesitantly, awkwardly. Jennifer's eyes swept over Malcolm, then landed on Tessa in her wheelchair. Her expression flickered with something surprise, maybe, or judgment, before smoothing back to pleasantness. You must be Malcolm's friend. Tessa. She held out her hand. Jennifer shook it briefly. Jennifer, Autumn's mother. The emphasis on mother was deliberate. Malcolm's jaw tightened. Jennifer, why don't you and Autumn spend some time together? There's a park 2 blocks away. Autumn loves the swings. Actually, I was hoping we could all have lunch together. Jennifer's smile was plastic. I'd love to catch up, Malcolm. See how you've been managing. We're not doing this, Malcolm said quietly. You wanted to see Autumn. She's right here. Don't make this about us. Jennifer's mask slipped slightly. I'm just trying to be friendly. No, you're trying to stake a claim you gave up 3 years ago. Malcolm's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. You have 4 hours with your daughter. I suggest you use them. Jennifer's face went hard. Fine. Autumn, would you like to go to the park with Mommy? Autumn looked at Malcolm, then at Tessa. Uncertainty written all over her small face. It's okay, honey, Tessa said gently. Your mom came a long way to see you. Go have fun. Autumn took Jennifer's hand and left. The door closed behind them, and Malcolm immediately collapsed onto the couch, his head in his hands. I hate this. I hate her. I hate that she gets to waltz in here and disrupt everything. Tessa rolled over to him. You did the right thing. Autumn needed to see her. Did she? Or did I just sign her up for more abandonment issues? Malcolm looked up, his eyes anguished. What if Jennifer disappoints her again? What if she promises to stay in touch and then ghosts her for another year? Then we'll help her through it. Together. Malcolm stared at her. We. Tessa's voice was firm. You, me, and Autumn. That's the team now, whether Jennifer is in the picture or not. Something broke in Malcolm's expression. He reached out and pulled Tessa into a hug, awkward with her, sitting in her chair and him on the couch, but fierce and real. I don't know what I did to deserve you showing up in my life, he whispered into her hair. But I'm grateful every single day. Tessa's heart hammered. Malcolm. He pulled back his hands still on her shoulders, his face inches from hers. I know we said we'd take it slow. I know you need time. But Tessa, I have to tell you something, and I can't keep it in anymore. What? I'm falling in love with you. The words came out raw and honest. I've been falling for weeks, maybe months, and I know that's terrifying. I know you're still healing from Brandon, but I need you to know that when I look at you, I don't see someone broken or damaged or hard to love. I see someone strong and brave and absolutely extraordinary. And if you're not ready for that, I understand. But I couldn't go another day without telling you the truth. Tessa couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All she could do was stare at this man who'd shown up in her worst moment and stayed through every moment since. Say something, Malcolm whispered. Please. I'm terrified, Tessa admitted. I'm terrified of trusting this, of believing someone actually wants me, chair and all. I don't just want you. I'm crazy about you. But what about when it gets hard? When my chair is inconvenient or embarrassing or limits what we can do together? Tessa, look at me. Malcolm's voice was firm. My daughter has epilepsy. Do you know how many dates I went on after Jennifer left where women ran the second I mentioned that? Where they smiled and said, that's hard, and then never called again. That's different. It's not different. It's exactly the same. People are scared of anything that requires accommodation, anything that forces them to think beyond themselves. He cupped her face gently. But you're not an accommodation. You're a person. A whole, complete, amazing person who happens to use a wheelchair. Just like Autumn is a whole, complete, amazing person who happens to have seizures. And anyone who can't see that isn't worth our time. Tessa's eyes filled with tears. You really mean that? I've never meant anything more. I'm falling for you too. The confession burst out. I've been trying not to, trying to protect myself. But Malcolm, when you called me at 2 in the morning, I didn't even think. I just came, because the idea of you and Autumn going through that alone was unbearable. So, what are we doing? Malcolm's thumb brushed her cheek. Are we still just friends? Or are we admitting this is something more? I don't know. I'm still scared. Me too. I'm terrified. He smiled slightly. But maybe we can be scared together. Tessa laughed through her tears. That's not very romantic. Sure it is. Real love isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared and choosing each other anyway. Before Tessa could respond, the front door opened. Autumn ran in her face, crumpled and tear-stained. Jennifer followed, looking uncomfortable. What happened? Malcolm was on his feet immediately. She promised, Autumn sobbed. She promised she'd come to my birthday next month, and we'd go to the butterfly pavilion together, and she'd call me every week. She turned to Malcolm, devastation written all over her small face. But then she said maybe. Maybe she could come. Maybe she could call. She didn't promise Daddy. She took it back. Jennifer shifted uncomfortably. Autumn, I said I'd try, but Mommy has a very busy schedule. You told a 6-year-old you'd be there and then immediately backtracked. Tessa's voice was ice. Do you have any idea what you just did to her? Jennifer's eyes flashed. Excuse me, but you're not her mother. You don't get to tell me how to parent. You're right. I'm not her mother. Because her mother left. Tessa rolled forward, her voice low and dangerous. But I'm the one who's been here, making her lunch, reading her bedtime stories, holding her hand when she's scared. And I would never ever make a promise I didn't intend to keep. You've known her for what, 3 months? Jennifer's voice rose. And you think that makes you an expert on my daughter? I think it makes me someone who shows up. Tessa met Jennifer's eyes steadily. Which is more than you've done. Jennifer turned to Malcolm. Are you going to let her talk to me like this? Tessa can speak for herself. Malcolm's voice was cold. And she's right. You don't get to swoop in, make promises, and then hedge your bets. Autumn deserves better. I'm her mother. Then act like it. Malcolm's control finally snapped. Be her mother, not when it's convenient, not when you're in town for work, all the time, or don't be in her life at all, because this halfway thing is killing her. Jennifer's face went pale. You can't keep her from me. I have rights. And you gave them up when you walked out 3 years ago. Malcolm picked up Autumn, holding her close as she cried into his shoulder. I've never kept you from her. I've encouraged her to love you, to understand you, to forgive you. But I will not let you break her heart over and over again. So what, you're choosing her? Jennifer gestured at Tessa with contempt. This is your daughter's new mother figure, a woman in a wheelchair who can't even get out. Malcolm's voice was deadly quiet. Get out of my house right now before I say something I regret. Malcolm, out, now. Jennifer grabbed her purse, her face twisted with anger and hurt. She looked at Autumn one last time. Baby mommy loves you. Don't. Malcolm's voice stopped her. Don't say things you don't mean, just go. Jennifer left the door slamming behind her. The house was silent except for Autumn's muffled sobs. Malcolm carried her to the couch, still holding her tight. Tessa rolled over, not sure if she was welcome in this moment, but unable to stay away. I'm sorry, Daddy. Autumn hiccuped. I wanted Mommy to stay. I wanted her to love me enough to stay. Oh, baby. Malcolm's voice broke. This isn't about you. Mommy has problems that have nothing to do with how lovable you are. You are the most lovable person in the entire world. Then why did she leave? It was the question every abandoned child asked, the one that had no good answer. Because some people don't know how to love the way they should, Tessa said softly. It's not a reflection of you, Autumn. It's a reflection of them. Autumn looked at her with red, swollen eyes. You won't leave, will you? You pinky promised. I pinky promised. And I never break pinky promises. Even if I have lots of seizures, even if it's scary. Even then. Even if Daddy gets grumpy sometimes and forgets to do dishes. Despite everything, Malcolm laughed wetly. Hey, I'm sitting right here. Even then, Tessa confirmed, smiling. Your daddy's terrible with dishes, but we'll manage. Autumn was quiet for a moment, processing. Then she looked between Malcolm and Tessa with sudden clarity. Are you going to be my new mom? The question hung in the air. Tessa's heart stopped. Malcolm froze. Honey, that's not... Malcolm started. I don't want to replace your mother, Tessa said gently. That's not what this is about. But you love Daddy, right? And you love me. Yes, Tessa admitted. I do. And Daddy loves you, I can tell. Autumn's voice was matter-of-fact. So, that makes you family. And family stays together. Tessa looked at Malcolm. Malcolm looked back, his eyes asking a silent question. Yeah, Tessa said, her voice thick with emotion. Family stays together. Autumn smiled for the first time since Jennifer left. Good. Because I was worried, but now I'm not. She yawned hugely. Can I take a nap? I'm really tired. Of course, baby. Malcolm carried her to her room, tucked her in with all her stuffed animals in exactly the right order, and kissed her forehead. When he came back downstairs, Tessa was still sitting in the living room staring at her hands. I'm sorry about Jennifer, Malcolm said quietly. The things she said to you. Don't apologize for her. That's not your responsibility. Still, you didn't deserve that. Neither did Autumn. Tessa looked up at him. Malcolm, what are we doing? Your daughter just asked if I was going to be her new mother. That's not a small thing. I know. And I told her yes, that we're family. I know that too. Malcolm sat beside her. Are you freaking out? Completely. Are you terrified? He took her hand. But also absolutely certain that you're the best thing that's happened to us in years. We've only known each other 3 months. Tessa, you stayed on a hospital floor with me. You blocked your ex when he tried to come back. You defended my daughter to her own mother. Malcolm's voice was intense. Time doesn't make love real. Actions do. And your actions have been screaming that you love us since the day we met. Tessa's eyes filled with tears again. I do love you. Both of you. That's what terrifies me. Because last time I loved someone this much, he destroyed me. I'm not him. I will never be him. Malcolm pulled her close. And if you need more time to believe that I'll wait as long as it takes. What if I'm not ready? What if... Malcolm kissed her, soft and gentle and absolutely certain. When he pulled back, Tessa was breathless. I'm ready when you're ready, he whispered. But Tessa, I need you to know something. When I look at you, I see my future. I see someone I want to build a life with. Someone I want beside me when Autumn has seizures, and when she graduates high school, and when she gets married someday. He brushed a tear from her cheek. I see forever, and I know that's huge and scary, but it's the truth. Tessa kissed him back, pouring everything she couldn't say into it. All her fear and hope and desperate, terrifying love. When they finally broke apart, she rested her forehead against his. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Let's do this. Let's be terrified together. Malcolm smiled bright and real and full of joy. Yeah. But Malcolm, I need you to promise me something. Anything. If this gets too hard, if my wheelchair becomes a problem, or I can't do something you need me to do, tell me. Don't let it build up and explode. Just tell me. Tessa, your wheelchair is never going to be a problem. You can't know that. There will be things I can't do. Places I can't go. Ways I'll need help. Then we'll figure it out together. Just like we figure out Autumn's seizures together. Just like we'll figure out every hard thing that comes our way. He took both her hands. I'm not promising this will be easy. I'm promising I'll stay when it's hard. And looking into his eyes, Tessa finally believed him. Outside, fireflies were starting to appear in the dusk. Inside, Autumn slept soundly, her stuffed animals keeping watch. And in the living room, two people who'd been abandoned by the ones who promised forever were choosing each other, knowing this time, the promise was real. The next morning, Tessa woke up on Malcolm's couch with a blanket she didn't remember pulling over herself. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and she could hear voices in the kitchen. Malcolm's low rumble and Autumn's bright chatter. Is Tessa still sleeping? Autumn asked. Probably. It was a long day yesterday. Can we make her pancakes? She always makes me feel better when I'm sad. Maybe pancakes will make her feel better too. Tessa's chest tightened. She rolled herself toward the kitchen doorway, pausing just outside to watch them. Malcolm stood at the stove. Autumn on a step stool beside him, both of them focused on a mixing bowl. How much flour, Daddy? 2 cups. Can you count while you pour? Autumn carefully measured her tongue, poking out in concentration. 1, 2. Oh no, I spilled some. That's okay, we'll clean it up. Malcolm kissed the top of her head. You're doing great, baby. Tessa cleared her throat. Morning. Autumn spun around, beaming. Tessa. We're making you pancakes. Daddy said you probably need comfort food after yesterday. That's very sweet of you. Tessa rolled into the kitchen. Malcolm met her eyes over Autumn's head, concern written all over his face. How'd you sleep? He asked. Better than expected. She'd thought she'd lie awake all night panicking about what they'd agreed to, what she'd promised. But instead, she'd felt safe, settled. Thank you for the blanket. You fell asleep during the movie. Didn't have the heart to wake you. Autumn tugged on Tessa's sleeve. Can you help us? I'm not very good at flipping yet. Daddy says it takes practice. I'd love to help. They made pancakes together, the three of them moving around the small kitchen like they'd been doing this for years instead of months. Autumn narrated everything, chattering about her dreams and her upcoming spelling test, and how her friend Jake had learned to do a wheelie in his wheelchair. "He's so fast now," Autumn said, pouring syrup liberally over her stack. "Faster than the kids who walk. He says his chair is like a race car." "That's a great way to think about it," Tessa said. "Is your chair fast?" "Pretty fast. Want to race sometime?" Autumn's eyes lit up. "Really? You'd race me?" "Absolutely. Though I should warn you, I'm very competitive." Malcolm laughed. "Now you've done it. Autumn takes racing very seriously." After breakfast, Malcolm loaded the dishwasher while Tessa and Autumn moved to the living room. Autumn pulled out her homework, spreading papers across the coffee table. "Miss Jennifer says we have to write about our family," Autumn said, chewing on her pencil. "But I don't know what to write." "Tell me about your family," Tessa prompted gently. "Well, there's Daddy, and me, and now you." Autumn looked up. "Are you my family now? Officially?" Tessa's throat went tight. "What do you think?" "I think yes. Because family is people who love you and take care of you and don't leave even when things are hard." Autumn's voice was matter-of-fact. "You do all those things, so you're family." "Then yes. Officially." Autumn grinned and started writing furiously. Malcolm appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame with his coffee, watching them with soft eyes. Tessa's phone buzzed. Her mother's name flashed on the screen. She'd been avoiding her mother's calls for a week, ever since their argument at brunch. "I should take this," Tessa said quietly. She rolled out to the back porch and answered. "Hi, Mom." "Tessa, finally. I've been trying to reach you for days." Her mother's voice was strained. "We need to talk about this Malcolm situation." "There's nothing to talk about." "Sweetheart, I'm worried about you. You're moving too fast. You're still vulnerable from Brandon." "I'm not vulnerable. I'm moving on." Tessa kept her voice level. "Malcolm is good to me. He sees me, Mom. Not the wheelchair, not the broken bride, just me." "But honey, he has a sick child. That's a huge responsibility." "Are you really ready for that?" "Autumn isn't a responsibility. She's a person, a wonderful, amazing person." Tessa's grip tightened on her phone. "And I'm not taking her on like she's a burden. I care about her. I care about both of them. I just don't want you to get hurt again." "Then trust me to make my own decisions. Trust that I know what I'm doing." Her mother was quiet for a long moment. "Are you in love with him?" Tessa looked through the window at Malcolm, helping Autumn with her homework. Both of them bent over the paper, Malcolm's hand gentle on his daughter's shoulder. "Yes," she admitted. "I am." "Oh, Tessa." Her mother's voice broke. "I'm not trying to ruin this for you. I'm just scared. After Brandon, after seeing you so broken, I can't watch you go through that again." "You won't. Malcolm isn't Brandon." Tessa took a breath. "Mom, I need you to hear me. I'm not the same person who got left at that altar. I'm stronger now. I know what I deserve, and I deserve someone who stays. And you think Malcolm will stay? I know he will. He's proven it every single day." Her mother sighed heavily. "Then I guess I need to meet him properly, not just judging from the sidelines." "Are you serious?" "I'm your mother. If this man is important to you, I should know him." A pause. "Invite me to dinner, this week. I'll bring dessert, and I'll try very hard not to interrogate him." Despite everything, Tessa smiled. "Try very hard, or actually not interrogate him." "I'll do my best, sweetheart. That's all I can promise." They set a date for Thursday. When Tessa came back inside, Malcolm was alone in the kitchen, Autumn having moved to the living room to watch cartoons. "Everything okay?" he asked. "My mother wants to meet you, officially. Dinner on Thursday." Tessa watched his face carefully. Fair warning, she's protective. She might grill you. Good. She should be protective. You're her daughter. Malcolm poured her fresh coffee without asking, fixing it exactly how she liked it. I'd be worried if she wasn't concerned about who you're dating. We're dating now officially. Malcolm set down the coffee pot and walked over to her, kneeling so they were eye level. Tessa, last night I told you I see forever when I look at you. So yeah, we're officially dating. Unless you want to call it something else. Dating works. Her heart hammered. But Malcolm, my mother can be intense. She's going to ask hard questions. She's going to want to know your intentions and your plans and probably your credit score. Then I'll tell her the truth. That I'm completely in love with her daughter. That I plan to prove every single day that I'm worth her trust. That my intentions are to build a life with you if you'll have me. He took her hands. And my credit score is decent, but took a hit with medical bills, so if that's a deal breaker, I understand. Tessa laughed, the tension breaking. You're ridiculous. I'm serious. I want your mother's blessing. I want her to know I'm not going to hurt you. You can't promise that. We'll hurt each other sometimes. That's how relationships work. You're right. But I can promise I'll never leave. That when we hurt each other, we'll work through it. His voice was intense. That's the difference between me and Brandon. He ran when things got hard. I stay. Thursday arrived faster than Tessa expected. She spent the afternoon helping Malcolm clean his already clean house, while Autumn alternated between excitement and nervousness. What if your mom doesn't like me? Autumn asked for the third time. She's going to love you, Tessa assured her. You're impossible not to love. But what if I say something wrong? Or I have a seizure at dinner? Malcolm knelt down, taking Autumn's shoulders gently. If you have a seizure, we'll handle it like we always do. And there's no such thing as saying something wrong. Just be yourself. That's all anyone can ask. Tessa's mother arrived at 6 sharp, carrying a chocolate cake and wearing her best judgmental expression. But when Autumn answered the door, bouncing with excitement and talking a mile a minute about her butterfly collection, something in her mother's face softened. You must be Autumn, her mother said. I'm Mrs. Chen. It's lovely to meet you. Tessa talks about you all the time. She says you make the best soup in the world. Is that true? Can you teach me? I'm not very good at cooking yet, but Daddy says I'm learning. Her mother's lips twitched, fighting a smile. Maybe I can teach you sometime. Dinner was awkward at first. Tessa's mother asked polite, but pointed questions about Malcolm's job as an accountant, his income, his plans for the future. Malcolm answered honestly, not trying to impress or exaggerate. When she asked about Autumn's epilepsy, he explained calmly, matter-of-factly, the same way he'd explained it to Tessa months ago. And the medical bills, her mother asked. That must be expensive. Mom, Tessa started. It's okay. Malcolm met her mother's eyes steadily. Yes, it's expensive. We manage. I work full-time Autumns on good insurance through my job, and we've learned to budget carefully. Some months are harder than others, but we make it work. And adding another person to your household, that won't strain things. Mom, I have my own income. Tessa cut in sharply. I'm not a financial burden. I didn't say you were, but you implied it. Tessa's voice rose. Just like you've implied that Autumn is too much responsibility and Malcolm is taking advantage of me being vulnerable. When are you going to stop treating me like I'm broken? The table went silent. Autumn looked between them nervously. Malcolm reached under the table and squeezed Tessa's hand. Her mother set down her fork carefully. I don't think you're broken, sweetheart. Yes, you do. You have ever since the accident. You look at me and see someone who needs protecting, someone who can't make her own decisions, someone who should be grateful anyone wants her at all. That's not true. Isn't it? Tessa's eyes stung. You didn't approve of Brandon either, but you didn't fight me on him because he was normal. But Malcolm has a sick kid and a tight budget, so suddenly you're worried. The only difference is Malcolm actually loves me. All of me. Including the wheelchair. Her mother's face crumpled. I'm scared, Tessa. I'm scared of you getting hurt again. I'm scared of you taking on too much. I'm scared. Her voice broke. I'm scared of losing my daughter. The confession hung in the air. You're not losing me, Tessa said softly. You're just learning to trust me again. I've always trusted you. No, you haven't. Not since the accident. Tessa took a shaky breath. You've been making my decisions for me, questioning my choices, treating me like I'm incapable. Autumn tugged on Mrs. Chen's sleeve. Tessa's not incapable. She's really strong. She can do almost everything people who walk can do, and the things she can't do, we help her with. That's what family does. Mrs. Chen looked at this earnest 6-year-old, then at Malcolm, then at her daughter. Really looked at them. Saw the way Malcolm's hand held Tessa's protectively. The way Autumn leaned against Tessa's chair like it was the most natural thing in the world. The way all three of them fit together like puzzle pieces. You're right, Mrs. Chen said finally. All of you. I have been treating Tessa like she's fragile, and that's not fair. She looked at her daughter. I'm sorry, honey. I'm just your mom. I'm programmed to worry. I know, Mom, but you need to let me live my life, even if that means making mistakes. Malcolm isn't a mistake, Mrs. Chen said quietly. She turned to him. I can see that now. I can see how you look at my daughter, how you treat her, and I apologize for the interrogation. No apology necessary, Malcolm said. You're protecting your daughter. I respect that. I hope someday when Autumn brings someone home, I'll care enough to interrogate them too. Something shifted in Mrs. Chen's expression. Approval, maybe, or at least acceptance. The rest of dinner went smoother. Mrs. Chen told stories about Tessa as a child, embarrassing ones that made Autumn giggle and Tessa groan. Malcolm shared stories about Autumn's toddler years, about her obsession with butterflies that started when she was 3. They laughed, they connected, they became something like family. After dessert, while Malcolm and Autumn cleared dishes, Mrs. Chen pulled Tessa aside. He's a good man, she said quietly, and that little girl adores you. I adore her too. I can see that. Mrs. Chen squeezed Tessa's hand. I'm sorry for not seeing it sooner, for not trusting you. You're right, you're not the same person who got left at that altar. You're stronger, clearer. You know what you want. I do. I want this. I want them. Then I support you. Completely. Her mother's eyes filled with tears. But sweetheart, if he ever hurts you. He won't. But if he does, I'll handle it. I promise. Her mother hugged her tightly. Okay. I trust you. After Mrs. Chen left with promises to come back soon and teach Autumn how to make soup, the three of them collapsed on the couch, exhausted but relieved. That went better than expected, Malcolm said. Your mom is scary, Autumn announced. But also nice. She gave me 2 pieces of cake. She liked you, Tessa said, pulling Autumn close. Both of you. Does this mean we passed the test? Malcolm asked. There was never a test. My mother just needed to see what I see, that you're not going anywhere. Malcolm kissed her forehead. Never. The weeks that followed fell into a comfortable rhythm. Tessa started going back to her office 3 days a week, reintegrating into the world she'd hidden from. Malcolm introduced her to his friends, his colleagues, his life outside the bubble they'd been living in. Autumn called her Tessa Mom. Once then looked horrified, but Tessa had just laughed and said it was okay. But real life wasn't without challenges. One afternoon, Tessa showed up at Malcolm's house to find him sitting at the kitchen table, head in his hands, papers spread everywhere. What's wrong? She asked immediately. Medical bills. His voice was flat. Autumn's neurologist wants to try a new medication. Insurance won't cover it. It's $3,000 a month. Tessa rolled closer. 3,000? Yeah, and I don't have it. I've been saving for months, but with rent and groceries and everything else. He looked up, his eyes haunted. I can't afford to keep her healthy, Tessa. What kind of father can't afford to keep his daughter healthy? The kind dealing with an impossible healthcare system. Tessa took his hand. We'll figure this out. How I've already maxed out 2 credit cards. I've cut every expense I can. I work overtime whenever it's available. His voice cracked. I'm drowning, and I don't know how to stop. Tessa was quiet for a moment, thinking, what if I helped? No, absolutely not. Malcolm, I'm not taking your money, Tessa. This is my problem to solve. We're together now. Your problems are my problems. She squeezed his hand. I have savings. Not a lot, but enough to cover a few months while we figure out other options. I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. She met his eyes. Malcolm, you stayed with me through everything. Let me stay with you through this. It's different. It's not different. It's exactly the same. You didn't let me face things alone. Don't ask me to watch you drown when I can help. Malcolm was silent, wrestling with pride and desperation. Finally, he nodded. A loan. I'll pay you back every cent. Fine. A loan. Tessa wouldn't argue about it now. They could fight about repayment later. What other options are there? I've been researching assistance programs, patient advocacy groups. Some pharmaceutical companies offer financial aid if you qualify. He gestured to the papers. I've been filling out applications for weeks, but they all take time, and Autumn needs this medication now. Then we use my savings to buy time while the applications process. Tessa was already pulling out her phone. I'll transfer the money tonight. Tessa, don't thank me, don't apologize, just let me help. Her voice was firm. That's what partners do. Something broke in Malcolm's expression. He pulled her from her chair onto his lap and held her tightly. I don't deserve you. Yes, you do. You deserve someone who shows up, and that's what I'm doing. That night after Autumn was asleep, they sat in the backyard under the stars. Malcolm was quieter than usual, processing. I hate this, he said finally. I hate feeling helpless. Hate that my daughter's health depends on money I don't have. I know. Jennifer used to throw it in my face, said I couldn't provide. That Autumn deserved better than a father who was always struggling. His jaw clenched. She wasn't entirely wrong. She was completely wrong. Tessa's voice was sharp. You're an incredible father. You've given Autumn everything that matters: love, stability, safety. The fact that healthcare is ridiculously expensive doesn't make you a failure. Sometimes it feels like it does. Well, it doesn't. And I'm not going anywhere just because money is tight. She took his hand. I've dated rich guys, Malcolm. Brandon had plenty of money. Didn't stop him from walking away when things got hard. Give me a man who stays over a man who pays any day. Malcolm smiled slightly. That's a low bar. Maybe, but you clear it by a mile. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. Then Malcolm spoke again, his voice careful. Tessa, I need to ask you something. Okay. Are you sure about this? About us. About taking on everything that comes with me and Autumn. He turned to face her. Because I love you. I'm absolutely in love with you. But I need to know you're not just here because you feel sorry for us, or because you're trying to prove something after Brandon. Is that what you think? I think you're the kindest person I've ever met, and sometimes kind people say yes when they should say no because they don't want to hurt anyone. Tessa was quiet, really considering the question. Was she here out of kindness, out of trying to prove she wasn't broken, or was it something more? I'm here because when I'm with you and Autumn, I feel like myself again, she said finally. Not the broken bride, not the woman in the wheelchair everyone pities. Just Tessa. The person I was before the accident. The person I'm still trying to remember how to be. She met his eyes. You see me, Malcolm, really see me, and that's not something I'm going to walk away from. You're sure? I'm terrified. I'm overwhelmed. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time." She smiled. "But I'm sure. About you. About Autumn. About us." Malcolm kissed her, then slow and deep and full of promise. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. "I'm going to marry you someday," he whispered. "Just so you know. Maybe not tomorrow or next month, but someday. I'm going to marry you." Tessa's heart stopped. "Malcolm, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. That's where this is heading for me. That's how serious I am." Tessa thought about Brandon's proposal 2 years ago. The grand gesture on the beach, the expensive ring, the promises that meant nothing when tested. Malcolm wasn't offering grand gestures. He was offering truth, reality, forever built on showing up every single day. "Okay," she whispered back. "Okay. Someday, when we're ready, when Autumn's ready, when my mother stops having heart palpitations about the whole thing." She smiled. "Ask me then." "I will." They stayed outside until the stars multiplied and the air turned cool. Until Autumn called from her bedroom that she'd had a bad dream and needed both of them. Until they went inside together, checked on the little girl, and settled her back to sleep. And as Tessa drove home that night, past the church where she'd been abandoned, past the garden where she'd first met Malcolm, she realized something. She wasn't scared anymore. She was ready. Ready didn't mean easy. 2 months later, Tessa sat in her car outside Malcolm's house, gripping the steering wheel and trying to breathe. She'd just come from a doctor's appointment, a routine checkup that had turned into something else entirely. "Your condition is progressing," Dr. Martinez had said, his voice gentle but clinical. "The paralysis is spreading. We're seeing weakness in your upper body now, your arms, your shoulders. It's slow, but it's happening." "How slow?" "Hard to say. Could be years, could be faster." He'd looked at her with sympathy that made her want to scream. "I'm sorry, Tessa. I know this isn't what you wanted to hear." She hadn't told Malcolm yet, hadn't told anyone. She'd driven straight to his house because she didn't know where else to go, but now that she was here, she couldn't make herself get out of the car. What if this changed everything? What if Malcolm looked at her the way Brandon had, like she was a burden that kept getting heavier? Her phone buzzed. "Malcolm." "You coming in? Autumn's been watching for you for 20 minutes. Tessa took a shaky breath and texted back. "Be right there." She couldn't fall apart. Not now. Not when things were finally good. Inside, Autumn tackled her with a hug the moment she cleared the door. "Tessa, guess what? I got 100% on my spelling test. Miss Jennifer said it was perfect." "That's amazing, honey." Tessa forced brightness into her voice. "I'm so proud of you." Malcolm appeared from the kitchen, took one look at her face, and knew something was wrong. But he didn't push. Just kissed her hello and told Autumn to set the table. Dinner was Autumn's favorite spaghetti with extra cheese. Tessa pushed food around her plate, only half listening to Autumn's chatter about school and butterflies and her upcoming field trip. "Tessa, are you okay?" Autumn asked suddenly. "You're being quiet." "Just tired, sweetie. Long day at work." Autumn accepted this easily, but Malcolm's eyes stayed on her throughout dinner. When Autumn went to her room to play, he cornered Tessa in the kitchen. "What happened?" His voice was gentle but firm. "And don't say nothing. I know you." Tessa's eyes filled with tears. "Can we talk about it later? After Autumn's asleep?" "Of course." He pulled her close, and she let herself lean into him for just a moment before pulling away to help with dishes. The next 2 hours dragged. They read Autumn a bedtime story, tucked her in with all her stuffed animals arranged just right, and waited until her breathing went deep and even. Only then did Malcolm lead Tessa to the back porch where they'd had so many important conversations. "Tell me," he said simply. "My paralysis is spreading." The words came out flat, emotionless. "The doctor said I'm losing strength in my upper body." Eventually, I might not be able to use my arms the way I do now. Might need more help with basic things. Her voice cracked. Might become completely dependent on someone else. Malcolm was quiet processing. Tessa couldn't look at him. Couldn't bear to see his face change the way Brandon's had. How long? He asked finally. They don't know. Could be years. Could be faster. Okay. Tessa's head snapped up. Okay. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? Malcolm's voice was calm. That I'm scared I am. That this changes things, it does, but not in the way you think. Malcolm, let me finish. He took her hands carefully. I'm not Brandon. I'm not going to run because things got harder. I'm not going to look at you differently or love you less or decide you're too much work. But you should. Tessa's voice rose. Don't you understand? I'm going to need more help, more accommodation, more everything. And you already have Autumn to take care of. You can't take on another person who needs... Stop. Malcolm's voice cut through her spiral. First of all, Autumn isn't a burden, and neither are you. Second, we don't know what the future looks like. Maybe the progression is slow. Maybe medical advances happen. Maybe it stabilizes. We can't live in fear of what might happen. But what if it does happen? What if I can't work anymore, can't contribute, can't even dress myself? Then we adapt, like we always do. He cupped her face gently. Tessa, look at me. Really look at me. She did. His eyes were scared but steady, present. I love you, Malcolm said firmly. Not the version of you that might exist someday. You, right now, the person sitting in front of me. And that's not going to change no matter what your body does. You can't know that. Yes, I can, because I've already been tested. My wife left when Autumn got sick. I stayed. I chose to stay every single day, even when it was terrifying and expensive and exhausting. His voice was intense. You think your body changing is going to make me love you less. You think needing help makes you less worthy of love. That's not how this works. Tessa's tears spilled over. I'm so scared. I know. Me too. He pulled her close. But we're going to face this together. Whatever comes, we face it together. They sat there for a long time holding each other while the fear slowly ebbed into something more manageable. Not gone fear like this never really left, but shared. Bearable. I need to tell Autumn, Tessa said finally. She deserves to know. Are you sure? She's going to notice eventually. Better she hears it from us. Tessa wiped her eyes. But Malcolm, what if this scares her? What if she doesn't want me around anymore? That's not going to happen. Autumn loves you. This won't change that. They told her the next morning over breakfast. Autumn listened seriously as Tessa explained in simple terms that her body was changing, that she might need more help with things as time went on. Like how I need help with my seizures? Autumn asked. Kind of like that, yeah. So we'll help you, like you help me. Autumn's voice was matter-of-fact. That's what families do. Tessa's throat tightened. You're not scared. A little, but Daddy says being scared is okay, as long as you don't let it stop you from loving people. Autumn climbed into Tessa's lap. I'm not going to stop loving you just because your body is different. That would be silly. Malcolm met Tessa's eyes over Autumn's head, his expression saying, I told you so, without words. But the real test came 3 weeks later. Tessa was at work when her arms suddenly went weak. She'd been reaching for a file on a high shelf when her strength just gave out. The file crashed to the floor, papers scattering everywhere, and Tessa sat there staring at her trembling hands in horror. Tessa, you okay? Her co-worker Sarah appeared in the doorway. I'm fine, just clumsy. Tessa forced a smile, but her heart was racing. This was it. This was the progression starting. Real and undeniable. She left work early claiming a headache. But instead of going home, she drove to the church garden where she'd first met Malcolm. She needed to think, needed to figure out how to tell him this was happening faster than expected. She sat there for over an hour, watching roses sway in the breeze, trying to find courage she didn't feel. Her phone rang. Malcolm. "Hey," she answered, trying to sound normal. "Where are you?" "You were supposed to pick up Autumn from school 20 minutes ago." Tessa's stomach dropped. "Oh my God! Malcolm, I forgot. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry." "It's okay. I left work early and got her. But Tessa, what's going on? This isn't like you." "I'm at the church, the garden where we met." Silence. Then, "Stay there. I'm coming." "Malcolm, you don't have to. I'm already in the car. Be there in 10 minutes. He arrived with Autumn, both of them walking quickly across the grass. Autumn ran ahead, throwing herself at Tessa. "You forgot me." Autumn said, not accusing, just stating fact. "Daddy said you must be having a bad day." "I am, honey. I'm really sorry." "It's okay. I have bad days too sometimes." Autumn hugged her tightly. "Can I go look at the roses?" "Sure, baby. Stay where we can see you." Malcolm waited until Autumn was out of earshot, then sat on the bench beside Tessa. "Talk to me. It's happening." Tessa's voice was barely a whisper. "The weakness. It happened today at work. I couldn't hold on to something. My arms just gave out." Malcolm's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed calm. "Did you call your doctor?" "Not yet. I came here instead. I needed to think. Think about whether I should end this, us, before it gets worse." Malcolm went very still. "What did you just say? You deserve better than this, Malcolm. You deserve someone who can help with Autumn, who can contribute equally, who doesn't need constant accommodation." "Stop talking." His voice was sharp. "Right now, stop." Tessa fell silent, shocked by his tone. "I'm going to say this once, and I need you to really hear me." Malcolm turned to face her fully. "I don't want anyone else. I don't want easier. I don't want less complicated. I want you, exactly as you are, with all your complications and needs and fears. But no buts. You don't get to decide what I deserve or don't deserve. You don't get to push me away because you're scared." His voice softened. "I know you're terrified. I know this feels like too much. But Tessa, running isn't going to make it better. It's just going to make you alone. Maybe alone is better than being a burden. You're not a burden." Malcolm's voice rose, then dropped again, gentle but firm. "You're the person I love. The person Autumn loves. The person who makes our lives better just by being in them. How can you not see that?" "Because Brandon saw me as a burden. Because my own mother looks at me with pity. Because everyone treats me like I'm broken. I don't." Malcolm grabbed her hands. "I have never once looked at you and seen broken. I see strong. I see brave. I see someone who faces impossibly hard things with grace. There's nothing graceful about forgetting to pick up a 6-year-old from school. You had a medical scare and needed time to process. That's human, not failure." He squeezed her hands. "Tessa, I forget things all the time. I burn dinner. I miss appointments. I screw up constantly. Does that make me a burden? That's different." "It's not different. It's being human." Malcolm's voice was intense. "You're holding yourself to an impossible standard. You think you have to be perfect to deserve love. But love doesn't work that way. Love is messy and complicated and showing up even when you're falling apart." Tessa's tears came hard and fast. "I'm so scared, Malcolm. I'm so scared of losing myself, of becoming someone you have to take care of instead of someone you choose." "I will always choose you." He pulled her into his arms. "Always. No matter what your body does. No matter how much help you need. I'm choosing you right now, and I'll choose you tomorrow and every day after that." Autumn came running back, her hands full of rose petals. Look what I found. They're for you, Tessa. To make you feel better. Tessa looked at this little girl, holding petals like they were treasure, at this man who refused to let her push him away, and felt something shift in her chest. Maybe she didn't have to be perfect. Maybe she just had to show up. Thank you, honey, Tessa said, taking the petals. They're beautiful. Are you feeling better now? Yeah, I think I am. That night after Autumn was asleep, Tessa and Malcolm talked for hours. Really talked. About fears and futures, and what accommodation might look like as her condition progressed. They made plans, researched adaptive equipment, discussed whether Tessa should move in with them so they could face things together rather than separately. I'm not ready to move in yet, Tessa admitted. I need to keep some independence while I still can. Okay, but when you're ready, the door's open, literally and figuratively. What about Autumn? What if taking care of me takes time away from her? Tessa, you take care of Autumn constantly. You pick her up from school, help with homework, read bedtime stories. You're not taking from her. You're giving to both of us. Malcolm's voice was firm. Stop trying to subtract yourself from the equation. Over the next few months, Tessa's condition stabilized. The weakness didn't get dramatically worse, though it didn't improve either. She had good days and bad days. Days where her arms worked fine, and days where opening a jar was impossible. Malcolm adapted without fanfare. Kept jars she might need in lower cabinets. Made sure heavy items were always within easy reach. Helped when needed and stepped back when not. He made accommodation feel normal, not exceptional. Autumn adapted too. Started opening doors without being asked. Carried Tessa's bags to the car. Asked, need help, instead of assuming. She approached Tessa's changing needs the same way they approached her epilepsy, as part of life, not a tragedy. But the hardest moment came 6 months after Tessa's diagnosis update. She and Malcolm were having dinner at a nice restaurant, their first real date night in weeks. Autumn was with Tessa's mother, who'd become surprisingly hands-on and supportive since accepting Malcolm into their lives. Everything was perfect until Tessa reached for her water glass and knocked it over instead. Water flooded the table, soaking the tablecloth and dripping onto her lap. I'm sorry, Tessa said automatically, her face burning, as the waiter rushed over with napkins. I'm so sorry. Malcolm calmly helped clean up, his voice matter-of-fact. Accidents happen, no big deal. But Tessa couldn't let it go. In the bathroom, she stared at her reflection and fought tears. She couldn't even hold a water glass reliably anymore. How long before she couldn't feed herself, couldn't dress herself, couldn't do anything without help? When she came back to the table, Malcolm took one look at her face and asked for the check. We don't have to leave, Tessa protested. I'm fine. You're not fine. And that's okay. He paid quickly and helped her to the car. They drove in silence until Malcolm pulled over at a park overlook. The city lights spread below them, twinkling in the darkness. Talk to me, Malcolm said quietly. I couldn't hold a water glass. Tessa's voice was tight. Something that simple, and I failed. Your hand shook. It happens. It happens because I'm getting worse. Because my body is betraying me piece by piece. She turned to him, anguished. How can you stand this? How can you watch me fall apart and not run? Malcolm was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Can I tell you about the day Autumn had her first seizure? Tessa nodded, confused by the subject change. She was 3. We were at the grocery store. One minute she was helping me pick out apples, the next she was on the floor convulsing. Malcolm's voice was distant, remembering. I had no idea what was happening. I thought she was dying. The paramedics came, took us to the hospital, and when she finally woke up, she didn't remember any of it. Malcolm. The doctor said she had epilepsy, that she might have seizures for the rest of her life, that we'd have to be vigilant, careful, always prepared for the next one. He looked at Tessa, and Jennifer looked at me and said, I can't do this. I can't live like this. Tessa's chest tightened. She left 2 months later, and you know what I realized? She wasn't leaving because Autumn was sick. She was leaving because she couldn't handle being uncomfortable, couldn't handle life not going exactly the way she planned. Malcolm took Tessa's hand. That's not love. That's convenience. What's your point? My point is that loving someone means showing up when things are hard, when bodies betray us, when life doesn't go according to plan. His voice was intense. You spilled a glass of water. You didn't fail. You just had a moment. And I'm going to have moments too. Autumn's going to have moments. We're all going to struggle sometimes. That's being human. But my struggles are going to get worse. Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. Malcolm cupped her face gently. But even if they do, even if you need help with everything someday, I'm still going to be here. Because I don't love you for what you can do. I love you for who you are. Tessa's tears spilled over. Who am I if I can't do anything? You're Tessa. The woman who makes Autumn laugh, who remembers everyone's coffee order, who calls me out when I'm being stubborn, who stayed on a hospital floor with me at 3 in the morning because I needed someone. He brushed away her tears. Those things aren't about what your body can do. They're about who you are, and that's never going to change. Something broke open in Tessa's chest. All the fear and shame and self-hatred she'd been carrying since her diagnosis. It didn't disappear fear like that, never fully left, but it loosened its grip. I love you, she whispered. Even when I'm terrified and pushing you away, I love you. I know. I love you too. On good days and bad days and days when you knock over water glasses. Malcolm smiled. Especially those days. They sat there overlooking the city until Tessa's breathing steadied and the panic receded. Until she could see past the spilled water to everything that remained Malcolm's hand in hers. Autumn waiting at home with Tessa's mother. A future that was uncertain, but not impossible. Take me home, Tessa said finally. Not my apartment. Your home, with you and Autumn. Malcolm's eyes widened. You mean, I'm ready to move in, to stop living separately and pretending we're not building a life together. She squeezed his hand. I'm ready to stop being scared. Malcolm kissed her soft and sure and full of promise. Then let's go home. They picked up Autumn from Tessa's mother's house. Autumn was sleepy but perked up when they told her Tessa was moving in. Really forever. Autumn's eyes went wide. Really, forever. Tessa smiled. If that's okay with you. It's perfect. Autumn threw her arms around Tessa. Now you can read me bedtime stories every night and help me with homework, and we can have pancakes whenever we want. Tessa's mother watched this exchange with tears in her eyes. You're sure about this, sweetheart? More sure than I've been about anything. Tessa looked at Malcolm, at Autumn, at the little family she'd found in a church garden on the worst day of her life. This is where I belong. Her mother hugged her tightly. Then I'm happy for you. Truly. That night in Malcolm's house, her house now, Tessa lay in bed, listening to the sounds of her new life. Autumn's soft breathing through the baby monitor. Malcolm's steady presence beside her. The house settling around them like a promise. She thought about the bride who'd been left alone in a wedding dress, broken and terrified. That woman felt like a stranger now. Tessa had been rebuilt piece by piece, not by someone fixing her, but by someone loving her exactly as she was. Her body might continue changing. The future was still uncertain and scary. But she wasn't facing it alone anymore. She was facing it with family. And that made all the difference. Moving in took 3 weeks. Not because Tessa had that much stuff, but because Malcolm insisted on making the house truly accessible before she arrived permanently. He installed grab bars in the bathroom, rearranged furniture to create wider pathways, lowered shelves and reorganized cabinets so everything Tessa needed regularly was within easy reach. You don't have to do all this, Tessa said, watching him install the 3rd grab bar. I want to. I want you to feel like this is your home, not just a place you're staying. Autumn helped too, clearing out half her toy box to make room for Tessa's things, picking out new sheets for the guest room that would become Tessa's office. Do you like butterflies or flowers better? Autumn held up 2 sets of curtains. Butterflies. Definitely butterflies. Good choice. Autumn beamed. That's what I picked too. The day Tessa officially moved in, her mother came with casseroles and advice. She pulled Tessa aside while Malcolm and Autumn were unloading boxes. You're absolutely sure about this? Her mother asked one more time. Mom, I'm sure. Stop asking. I'm your mother. I'm programmed to worry. But she smiled. He's a good man, Tessa. I was wrong to doubt him. I know. And that little girl adores you. I adore her too. Tessa watched Autumn through the window, directing Malcolm on where boxes should go with the authority of a tiny foreman. She's special. So are you, sweetheart. Her mother hugged her tightly. I'm proud of you, for choosing love even when it's scary, for not letting Brandon's cowardice make you afraid to try again. Thanks, Mom. That night, after boxes were unpacked and her mother had left and Autumn was finally asleep after 3 bedtime stories, Tessa and Malcolm collapsed on the couch. This is real now, Tessa said. We're really doing this. Having second thoughts. Terrified thoughts, but not second thoughts. She leaned against him. What if I'm a terrible roommate? What if I leave dishes in the sink or hog the bathroom or... Then you'll be a normal roommate. Malcolm kissed her forehead. Stop looking for reasons this won't work. It's going to work because we'll make it work. The first few weeks were an adjustment, learning each other's routines, figuring out bathroom schedules and closet space, and who cooked on which nights. They had small arguments. Tessa liked the thermostat colder than Malcolm did. Malcolm was terrible about leaving cabinets open. Autumn wanted pancakes for every single meal, but they figured it out, compromised, adapted, became a family not just in theory, but in practice. 2 months after Tessa moved in, Malcolm came home from work looking nervous. He found Tessa in the kitchen helping Autumn with math homework. Can I talk to you? He asked. Alone. Tessa's stomach dropped. Those words never meant good news. Autumn, honey, keep working on these problems. I'll be right back. In the bedroom, Malcolm closed the door and turned to face her. His hands were shaking slightly. What's wrong? Tessa asked immediately. Is it Autumn, your job? What happened? Nothing's wrong. He took a breath. I have something I need to ask you, and I need to do it now before I lose my nerve. Malcolm, you're scaring me. Don't be scared. Just wait here for a second. He left the room and came back 30 seconds later with Autumn, who was practically vibrating with excitement. What's going on? Tessa looked between them. Malcolm knelt down in front of her wheelchair. Autumn stood beside him, holding a small velvet box. Tessa's heart stopped. Tessa Chen. Malcolm started, his voice shaking. 11 months ago, you were sitting in a church garden, having the worst day of your life, and I was just a stranger cutting through with my daughter. I had no idea that stopping to check on you would change everything. Tears were already streaming down Tessa's face. You've become the center of our world. You make Autumn laugh. You make me remember what it feels like to be truly loved. You show up every single day, not because you have to, but because you choose to. His voice cracked. And I want to spend the rest of my life choosing you back. Autumn opened the box, revealing a simple silver band with a small diamond. Will you marry me? Malcolm asked. Will you be Autumn's bonus mom, and my wife, and our forever person? Tessa couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. All she could do was nod frantically while crying so hard she could barely see. Is that a yes? Malcolm laughed through his own tears. Yes. Tessa finally found her voice. Yes, yes, yes. Malcolm slipped the ring on her finger while Autumn cheered and jumped up and down. Then he stood and kissed Tessa deep and sure and full of promise. "We're getting married," Autumn shrieked, throwing her arms around both of them. "I'm getting a bonus, Mom." "You're getting stuck with me forever," Tessa corrected, pulling Autumn into the embrace. "Good, that's what I wanted." Autumn pulled back, suddenly serious. "Tessa, can I ask you something?" "Anything, honey." "At the wedding, can I be the flower girl? And can we have butterflies? Real ones, not fake ones." "You can absolutely be the flower girl, and we'll figure out the butterflies." Tessa looked at Malcolm. "Real ones might be tricky, though." "There are butterfly releases," Malcolm said. "People do them at weddings sometimes. We could look into it." Autumn's eyes went wide. "Really real butterflies?" "Real butterflies," Tessa confirmed, "for the most special flower girl in the world." That night, after Autumn finally went to sleep, still chattering about butterflies and dresses and cake, Tessa and Malcolm sat in their bedroom staring at the ring on her finger. "I can't believe you proposed," Tessa said softly. "I was expecting you to wait longer, to be more sure." "I am sure. I've been sure since the hospital when you showed up at 3 in the morning." Malcolm took her hand. "I wanted to ask you months ago, but I wanted to wait until you'd lived here for a while, until you were absolutely certain this was what you wanted." "And you think I'm certain now? Are you?" Tessa thought about the last 11 months, meeting Malcolm in her worst moment, watching him parent Autumn with patience and grace, sitting on hospital floors and facing medical bills and learning what love actually looked like when tested. "I've never been more certain of anything," she said. "Then that's all that matters." Malcolm kissed her gently. "When do you want to get married?" "Soon. I don't want a big wedding. Don't want months of planning and stress. Just something simple." "How simple?" "Small. Intimate. Just family and close friends." Tessa looked at him. "And maybe at that church garden where we met. Full circle." Malcolm's eyes softened. "That's perfect." They planned the wedding for 3 months out. Small and simple like Tessa wanted. No wedding planner, no elaborate decorations, just white roses and butterflies and the people who mattered most. Tessa's mother cried when they told her. "I'm so happy for you, sweetheart. So incredibly happy." "No interrogation about moving too fast," Tessa teased. "You know what you're doing, and more importantly, you're happy, really happy. That's all I ever wanted for you." They told Tessa's small circle of friends, Malcolm's colleagues, Autumn's teacher, who Autumn insisted needed an invitation because she'd been so supportive during hard seizure days. The only person they didn't tell was Brandon. But Brandon found out anyway. 2 weeks before the wedding, Tessa got a text from an unknown number. "Congratulations on the engagement. Can we talk?" She knew immediately who it was. Blocked numbers didn't stay blocked forever when someone was determined. She showed Malcolm the text. "What should I do? What do you want to do?" Part of me wants to ignore it, but part of me thinks I need closure. Need to face him one more time and prove to myself I'm completely over what he did. Malcolm was quiet for a moment. "Then meet him, but somewhere public. And I'm coming with you." "You don't have to." "I'm coming with you," Malcolm repeated firmly. "Not because I don't trust you, because you shouldn't have to face him alone." They agreed to meet Brandon at a coffee shop near Tessa's old apartment. Neutral territory, public and safe. Brandon looked different. Older somehow, even though it had only been a year. Tired. When he saw Tessa roll in with Malcolm beside her, something flickered across his face. Regret, maybe, or recognition of what he'd lost. "Tessa, thank you for coming." Brandon's voice was cautious. "And you must be Malcolm." "I am." Malcolm's voice was polite, but cool. He pulled out a chair for Tessa, then sat beside her protectively. "I'll get right to it," Brandon said. "I heard you're getting married, and I needed to apologize. For everything. For leaving you at the church. For being a coward. for not being strong enough to handle things when they got hard. Tessa waited, but he didn't continue. Is that it? That's your apology? What else do you want me to say? How about why? Tessa's voice was steady. Why you waited until 30 minutes before our wedding to figure out you couldn't handle my disability. Why you made me feel like I was the problem instead of your own weakness. Brandon flinched. I panicked. I know that's not an excuse, but every time I looked at you, all I could see was how our life had changed. How everything we'd planned was different now. Different isn't bad, Brandon. It's just different. I know that now. I've had a year to think about it, to realize I threw away something real because I was too immature to handle it. He looked at Malcolm. You're a lucky man. I know, Malcolm said simply. Brandon turned back to Tessa. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve that. I just wanted you to know I was wrong, that you weren't the problem. I was. Tessa studied him. A year ago, these words would have meant everything. She would have clung to them as validation, as proof she wasn't broken or unlovable. Now they just made her tired. I appreciate the apology, Tessa said finally. I do. But Brandon, I don't need your validation anymore. I don't need you to tell me I wasn't the problem. I already know that. Tessa, you did me a favor by leaving. I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. She reached for Malcolm's hand. You showed me what I didn't want, what I wouldn't settle for, and that helped me recognize what I did want when I found it. Brandon's face crumpled. I really screwed up, didn't I? Yeah, you did. Tessa's voice softened slightly. But I hope you learned from it. I hope the next person you love, you'll be strong enough to stay for. There won't be a next person. Not like you. That's not true. There will be. And when there is, remember this feeling. Remember what it cost you to run, and choose differently. They left shortly after. In the car, Malcolm was quiet. You okay? Tessa asked. I should be asking you that. How do you feel? Free. The word surprised her, but it was true. I thought facing him would be hard, but it wasn't. He's just a man who made a mistake. He doesn't have power over me anymore. Good. Malcolm squeezed her hand. He never should have had that power to begin with. The weeks before the wedding flew by. Dress fittings for Tessa and Autumn. Menu planning, guest lists. Small details that somehow felt monumental. 3 days before the wedding, Autumn had a seizure. A bad one. Longer than usual, scary enough that they called 911. At the hospital, Tessa held Malcolm while he fell apart in the hallway. What if this happens at the wedding? His voice was raw. What if she seizes in front of everyone? Then we'll handle it, like we always do. Tessa's voice was calm. Malcolm, we can't live in fear of what might happen. We just have to be prepared. But it's our wedding day. And Autumn is part of our family. If she has a seizure on our wedding day, we'll pause, take care of her, and continue when she's okay. Tessa cupped his face. This is our life, Malcolm. Seizures and wheelchairs and medical scares. We don't get to turn that off for one perfect day. We just get to face it together. Malcolm pulled her close. How are you so calm about this? Because I've learned that life doesn't wait for perfect moments. You make the moments perfect by showing up for them. Autumn was fine by morning. Tired but stable. The doctors adjusted her medication slightly and sent them home with instructions to watch for warning signs. I'm sorry, Autumn said in the car, her voice small. I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything, Tessa said firmly from the front seat. You had a seizure. That's not your fault. And it definitely didn't ruin anything. But what if I have one at the wedding? Then we'll take care of you and keep celebrating when you're ready. Malcolm looked at her in the rearview mirror. Baby, your seizures are part of our life. They don't stop important moments. They're just part of how we experience them. The wedding day arrived sunny and perfect. Tessa woke up in her old apartment. Malcolm insisted on the tradition of not seeing each other before the ceremony, with her mother helping her get dressed. "How do you feel?" her mother asked, zipping up the simple cream-colored dress Tessa had chosen. Happy, nervous, excited, terrified. Tessa laughed. "All of it at once." "That's normal. I felt the same way when I married your father." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "You look beautiful, sweetheart." "Mom, don't cry yet. Save it for the ceremony." "I can't help it. My baby is getting married. To a wonderful man. With a beautiful daughter. Everything I wanted for you." They arrived at the church garden to find it transformed. White roses everywhere. Small chairs arranged in rows. And in the center, a wooden arbor wrapped in flowers where Malcolm waited with Autumn beside him. Tessa's breath caught. Malcolm wore a simple suit, his eyes locked on her the moment she appeared. Autumn was in a yellow dress, her favorite color, holding a basket of rose petals. The ceremony was small, intimate. Just 30 people who mattered most. Tessa rolled herself down the aisle alone, no one giving her away. She was choosing this herself on her own terms. When she reached Malcolm, he knelt down so they were eye level. "You're stunning," he whispered. "You're not so bad yourself." The officiant, a friend of Malcolm's, kept it simple. Talked about love being choice, about showing up, about building a life through small moments of grace. When it was time for vows, Malcolm went first. "Tessa, 11 months ago, I met you in this garden on the worst day of your life. You were sitting in a wedding dress, crying, completely heartbroken. And I thought I was just being kind, just checking on a stranger." His voice cracked. "I had no idea I was meeting my future." Tessa's eyes filled with tears. "You've taught me what real love looks like. Not perfect, not easy, but present. You show up for Autumn like she's your own. You face every challenge with grace. You make our house a home just by being in it." Malcolm took her hands. "I promise to love you in sickness and health, to accommodate without pity, to stay when things are hard, to choose you every single day for the rest of my life." Tessa could barely see through her tears. "Malcolm, when you found me in this garden, I thought my life was over. That being left proved I was unlovable, too broken, too much trouble." "Never," Malcolm whispered. "You proved me wrong. Not by fixing me, not by pretending my disability doesn't exist, but by loving all of me. The wheelchair, the fear, the bad days and good days and everything in between." She squeezed his hands. "You've shown me what it means to be seen, really seen. And I promise to see you the same way, to support you, to be Autumn's bonus mom, to build this life with you one day at a time, to stay when it's hard, to choose you back. Always." The officiant smiled. "By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. Malcolm, you may kiss your bride." Malcolm kissed her deeply while everyone cheered. When they broke apart, Autumn was jumping up and down with excitement. "We're married!" Autumn shrieked. "We're a real family now." "We were always a real family," Tessa said, pulling Autumn into a hug. "This just makes it official." They released butterflies after the ceremony. Autumn's dream come true. Dozens of monarchs and painted ladies taking flight into the blue sky while guests watched in wonder. "It's perfect," Autumn breathed, watching them soar. "The most perfect wedding ever." The reception was small and casual. Food trucks instead of catering. Music from a playlist instead of a DJ. Dancing on the grass while the sun set and fireflies began to appear. Tessa's mother pulled her aside during dinner. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart." "Thanks, Mom. I mean it. You could have let Brandon's betrayal make you bitter. Could have closed yourself off. Instead, you stayed open. You trusted again. You chose love, even when it was terrifying." Her mother hugged her tightly. "That takes real courage. Later, Malcolm and Tessa had their first dance. It wasn't traditional. Malcolm held Tessa's hands while she rolled in slow circles, both of them laughing at the awkwardness and beauty of it. "This isn't exactly a fairy tale wedding," Tessa said. "No, it's better. It's real." Malcolm kissed her forehead. "Fairy tales don't have wheelchairs or epilepsy or medical bills. They're perfect and impossible. This is messy and complicated and absolutely perfect because it's ours." Near the end of the night, Autumn pulled Tessa aside. "Can I call you Mom now?" she asked shyly. "Or is that weird?" Tessa's throat tightened. "It's not weird at all. You can call me whatever feels right. What feels right is Mom, because that's what you are. You make me lunch and help with homework and stay when things are scary. That's what moms do." "Then yes, honey, you can call me Mom." Autumn threw her arms around Tessa. "I love you, Mom." "I love you too, baby girl. So much." They stayed at the reception until the last guest left, until the fairy lights twinkled in the darkness and the caterers packed up, and Autumn fell asleep in Malcolm's arms. Malcolm carried Autumn to the car, while Tessa followed. They drove home to their home, the three of them together, in comfortable silence. After tucking Autumn into bed, Malcolm and Tessa sat in their bedroom, both still in their wedding clothes, neither quite ready to change and make the day officially over. "We did it," Malcolm said softly. "We're married. We're married." Tessa repeated, still processing. She looked at the ring on her finger, the simple silver band that meant forever. "A year ago, I was sitting in that garden thinking my life was over, that being abandoned proved I was unlovable. And now I know that being abandoned just cleared space for the right person to find me." She took Malcolm's hand. "You saved me, Malcolm. Not from my wheelchair or my disability. You saved me from believing I wasn't enough. You saved me too. From loneliness. From thinking I had to do everything alone. From forgetting what it felt like to be part of a team." He kissed her softly. "We saved each other." They sat there in the quiet, two people who'd been broken by others learning how to be whole together. Outside, the world continued. Inside, a new family had been born. Not perfect, not easy, but real. And in the morning, they'd wake up and do it all over again. Make breakfast, help Autumn with homework, face seizures and weakness and whatever challenges came their way. Together. Because that's what love was. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of someone who stayed through it. Malcolm had stayed. Through hospital visits and medical bills and Tessa's fears and Autumn's seizures. He'd stayed when it was hard, when it was scary, when walking away would have been easier. And Tessa had stayed too, through her own fears and insecurities, through the progressive condition that made her future uncertain, through learning to trust again after betrayal. They'd chosen each other, not once, but every single day, in small moments and big ones, in promises kept and grace given. That was the real fairy tale. Not perfection, but persistence. Not magic, but showing up. The wheelchair hadn't taken Tessa's future. It had revealed who truly deserved to be in it. And the little girl who'd once been abandoned by her mother had found a bonus mom who would never leave. In that church garden where Tessa had been abandoned, she'd found her forever. Not in spite of the wheelchair, not despite the epilepsy, but because of all of it. Because struggle revealed truth. Because hard things showed who people really were. And Malcolm, quiet and steady and absolutely certain, had proven who he was every single day. Someone who stayed, someone who loved, someone who saw. And that was worth more than any fairy tale ending. That was real.